8,
You're watching
7,
Experience Comic Culture and Sales.
5,
Streaming live daily to
4,
Facebook, YouTube,
3,
Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Did you know rabbits don't actually like carrots? They don't eat carrots like we think they do. And there's a reason why we all think they do. And I'll tell you after the news. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hello, and everybody. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Hello to Triple B. I'm sure Ed will be around in a minute. All the usuals will be showing up. But we are going to dive right into the news because we got a ton of it. Then we got to talk about Agatha. And got some key collectibles for you guys. So we got a pretty busy show. But we're going to start it off with the news today. It's kind of sad news. Actress Shelley Duvall has passed away at the age of 75 now. She may be best known for appearing opposite of Jack Nicholson in The Shining, or even in Woody Allen's Annie Hall, but Duvall really rose to fame as kind of the favorite actress of director Robert Altman. And she did a bunch of movies with him, including Brewster McCloud, McCabe and Miss Miller, Nashville, Buffalo Bill and the Indians. But for me personally, the two roles I always remember her from, one was her appearing with Steve Martin in the movie Roxanne, and the other, and again, probably the one stands out the most to me, was her playing Olive Oyl opposite Robin Williams in Popeye. So Duvall has had a rough last few years, and it's sad to say that she's gone now. But that is the news that broke today. Hey, Ed. All right, we're going to move on. There was a big announcement yesterday, but I wanted to bring it up again here today involving comics. We got two comic stories here, and it's pre-San Diego Con. So these are going to start rolling out. But the first one here is a doozy because Penguin Random House has basically bought Boom Studios. Now, if you're not familiar with Boom, they are the publisher for Keanu Reeves' Berserker comic, the Something is Killing the Children, Lumberjanes, and they also do a lot of licensed properties like Power Rangers, Dune, Firefly, and now they're going to become an imprint of what's known as Random House Worlds. Now, the terms of the deals have not been made public, but with the announcement, it was said that there are no current plans to move Boom Studios out of their location here in Los Angeles, nor change their current distribution deals they have with Diamond and Simon & Schuster. Now, Ross Ritchie, who founded Boom back in 2005, said this: "It's every entrepreneur's dream to launch a company, build it up, and then sell it to the best. I'm excited to hand the reins of Boom over to the best and largest publisher in the world." So congratulations to Ross Ritchie, and we'll see what it does under the Penguin. So another comic publisher made an announcement, Distillery, which is a more recently founded company. It was put together by the Comixology co-founder David Steinberg and the former head of content for Comixology, Chip Mosier. Now, they have signed an exclusive distribution deal with Diamond. Remember when people used to do that? They used to sign exclusives with Diamond. Well, any book that was previously solicited through their other distributor, Lunar, that hasn't hit FOC yet or by July 15th will now come from Diamond. This will include Life Number 1 by Brian Azzarello, Stephanie Phillips, and Danijel Zazelj. I'm never going to get that one right. Sorry, Dan. Yeah. Initial orders placed through Lunar that have not come up to FOC will be canceled. Distillery will also move its Diamond into the Diamond Deluxe publisher tier starting in the September catalog. Ed says, not to backtrack, I was late. They could not possibly cast a better Olive Oil than Shelley Duvall. She was amazing. Yes, she was. So, okay, other big news today. And this is a little hesitant on this one because they've made a lot of Star Wars announcements and then we don't see it. There was a Taika Waititi movie. Haven't seen it. There was the Patty Jenkins Star Wars Rogue Squadron movie. Haven't seen it. There was the Kevin Feige movie. Haven't seen it. But since about 2002, they've been talking about a Sean Levy Star Wars movie. And Sean Levy, of course, directed the Adam Project, Free Guy, and he's coming up as the director of Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, he's teaming up with Jonathan Tropper. This is the news today, is that Tropper is going to be writing the Star Wars movie. And Tropper and Levy go a long time back. Tropper wrote the Adam Project, which starred Ryan Reynolds. He also wrote This Is Where I Leave You, another movie directed by Levy, and Kodachrome, which Levy produced. So now over on TV, this is where it gets really interesting. Tropper created the TV series Banshee from Cinemax, as well as Warrior, and was the showrunner on the Jason Momoa series C. So he can write some good stories. And if you ever see Warrior, I mean, there is some amazing martial arts in that show. So, all right, moving on. We've got some more kind of San Diego news. Some of the studios and stuff are releasing their information. Paramount is going to have a big footprint down there. They'll be showing off the animated series Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's going to be a bunch of Star Trek stuff. And they're also going to be highlighting the new Dexter Original Sin. Along with that, the Lodge is taking over the Gaslamp District again, like they did previously. And there'll be several fan experiences and activations for movies and series such as If, Tulsa Kings, Ghosts, Criminal Minds, Evolution, and SpongeBob SquarePants. So I love the fact that they're kind of moving things out into the Gaslamp District now. So once the show's done, because a lot of people will hang out in the building and stuff, they want to move people out away from the convention center at that point. So this is good for that. Matthew Chauncey, who is currently the writer on What If, he's been tapped to write season 3 of the X-Men 97 series. Of course, the revival of the 90s X-Men animated series. Now, Chauncey will be taking over for Bruce DeMeo, who very publicly parted ways with Marvel earlier this year. That was even before X-Men 97 launched in March. And he had already completed seasons 1 and 2. Now, Chauncey will work alongside Jake Castorina, who was a director for most of these, and who has been on the animated series from the start. Now, season 2 of the revival, which the scripts have already been done, but they're being revised a bit, is currently in production, and then season 3 is in development. I know you guys have been waiting for this one, especially Ed, because I think he loves the term donkey. A 5th Shrek film is in the works with Michael Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Cameron Diaz all set to return. Walter Dorn from the Troll franchise, who worked on the 2nd and 3rd films as a writer and artist, and as head of story in the 4th film, will direct Shrek 5. This is one of DreamWorks' kind of their biggest franchises. It started, of course, from a 1990 picture book from writer and cartoonist William Steig, and the franchise kicked off with a 2001 film that introduced Shrek, and at this point, it's made $2.9 billion. That's nothing for a donkey to kick at. So, donkey. All right. In what continues to be one of the strangest branding moves ever, the move, remember how HBO Max used to be HBO Max, and then suddenly the Warner Brothers buyout by Discovery happened, and they dropped the HBO, and it just became Max, and it seemed like they were trying to get away from the HBO marker, and then suddenly they went, oh wait, that's a bad idea, and now they're trying to embrace it again. And we saw that with the Harry Potter upcoming series, the Green Lantern series, and the It prequel series, Welcome to Derry, are now moving back to being HBO originals. Well, 2 more properties are now moving to be HBO originals. And what this means is that they'll premiere on HBO and on Max at the same time. So if you have HBO, but you don't have Max, you don't have to get it now. And those 2 series, of course, are The Penguin and Dune Prophecy. So they're really pushing all of their big properties back to be tied to HBO, which, again, have no idea why they moved away from it, because HBO really, for a long time, had this kind of quality. I mean, they kind of were associated with quality, with The Sopranos and True Detective. And HBO original kind of got that, you knew it was going to be something good and something special. And then they decided, no, we're going to get away from it. Turns out, no, that was a bad idea. Speaking of the Penguin, though, it will also have a big presence in the San Diego Comic-Con that will include a experience event centered around that. Basically, they're recreating the Iceberg Lounge, and you'll be able to go in and all that stuff, but you got to get tickets for it. But there's also going to be, if you're in the Gaslamp District, there'll be a Gotham ice truck that'll be selling like slushies, and they're giving away slush. I don't remember if they're selling or giving away. I have to amend that. But you're supposed to be able to get tickets for the Iceberg Lounge there. And then also there's going to be a Hall H panel for the show that'll have Colin Farrell, Kristen Milotti, and Renzi Feliz, along with Matt Reeves. So who's producing it, and of course, wrote and directed the Batman. There's also word that they're going to be showing the official trailer for The Penguin, which I have no idea how that differs from the one that they released recently. But there it is. So if you're a Penguin fan and you're a San Diego Con, there's lots to go there. You guys remember there was a cartoon series called Tom Slick in the 60s by the same guys that did Rocky and Bullwinkle? Well, it turns out there really was a Tom Slick, but he wasn't a race car driver. No. Nay. This guy was much weirder. And he's getting it's a scripted podcast about his life. It's an 8-part series based on what they call the untold and mostly true tales of explorer, scientific legend, and alleged spy Tom Slick as he searches for the Yeti. Voice cast include Owen Wilson as Tom Slick, and will also have Sissy Spacek and Schuler Fisk in it. Now, Slick was basically this real guy, and in 1958 he hunted for Yetis. His money came from, and I cannot make this up, he was an oil heir. Yep. A guy named Slick got his money from oil. Anyway, he took that money and became an adventurer and set about the world looking for urban legends like the Yeti and Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. So, yeah, but again, this doesn't seem to have anything to do with the 1960s cartoon, but I don't know. I may actually tune into this, especially for Owen Wilson, just to hear him go, wow, it's a Yeti. All right, moving on to our last story. Netflix is developing Barbaric, based on a TV series adaptation based off of the Vault comics. That comes from creator and writer Michael Morikai and Nathan Gooden. So their comic is going to star Sam Claflin, who was in Daisy Jones and the Sixth and Peaky Blinders, and Patrick Stewart. And it's being written by Sheldon Turner, but it's supposed to be bringing Michael Bay back to direct his first TV series in years. Now, if you're not familiar with Barbaric, is a comic with the talking battle axe. Yes, it's the comic with the talking battle axe. And they describe it as a talking horny battle axe. Claflin is going to play Owen, the barbarian cursed to do the right thing, and Patrick Stewart is voicing the battle axe. There's your selling point right there. So hopefully, and then bringing Michael Bay back to direct it, I think that's just great. Now, I'm going to get back to the story I teased in the opening. Rabbits don't eat carrots. Rabbits don't like carrots that much. They're not big on carrots. It's not their thing. The reason we think it is because of Clark Gable. If you've seen a movie called It Happened One Night, there's a famous scene where Clark and this woman are on the side of the road, and she pulls up the hem of her skirt to show her leg to get someone to stop so they can get a ride. In that scene, Clark Gable is walking around holding and chomping on a carrot. Now, move a couple years later, when the creation of Bugs Bunny is happening, they decide they are going to stylize Bugs Bunny after the incredibly popular Clark Gable. And they borrowed the carrot idea from It Happened One Night. Now, because Bugs Bunny then became popular, and the carrot thing was part of Bugs Bunny's motif, everybody just assumes that, well, then bunnies must love carrots. But no, it's just because Clark Gable was eating one in that scene. All right, guys, we are going to take our first break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about Agatha All Along. I'm going to try to give you as much information as I can on it. And also talk about whether this could put Marvel back on the right track. Stick around.
Live from New York. What? Oh, sorry. Live from Cleveland? It's Friday night? It's Friday Night Live! With Nancy McCann. And Ricky. And sometimes Carlos. And featuring boxes and boxes of rare comics. Unique collectibles. Lots of smiles and conversations with new friends. Friday Night Live with Comics Unlimited. Friday night from 9 to 11 on The Experience.
We know you probably get a lot of emails, but could you please make sure to sign up for our mailing list? We don't send a lot of emails, and we try not to bother you. We just want to give you the best information about all the cool stuff that's going on around here. Sign up on our website, theexplive.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Please hit those like buttons. If you have not subscribed, please do so. That is how you help this channel and we keep things going. And, let's do the old shampoo thing and tell two friends. Tell two friends about the show. See if you can get them over here and we'll grow this audience. Because the more people involved, I think the show gets better. All right. Also, remember to stick around tonight. We've got What's in the Box, we've got the Geek Chat, and we've got SketchUp with David Daub. So it's going to be a fun day here on The Experience. You want to stick around for all of that. Now, before we jump into the story, I am 54 years old. I live in Southern California. I know a spattering of Spanish. I have family members who Spanish is their first language and English is second. Yet today, literally 2 hours ago, was the first time I had ever heard that they have their own song for happy birthday. And it makes perfect sense. I mean, of course they do. I'm sure every language has some song that celebrates the birth of somebody. Makes perfect sense. But I never thought about it. And I've never heard it. And I heard somebody sing it. And it's a very long, complicated sounding song. And it mentions King David and all the birds that were born the day you were born, and how the sun has or the moon has already set, and this is your day. I mean, it's La Mananitas. Let's be Las Mananitas. And again, it was this person trying to teach it to somebody else, and they sang it so quick, and I just was so surprised. And like I said, I understand. Logically, I shouldn't be surprised. But I am. Don't know what that says, but all right, let's talk Agatha all along. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, we got some comments. Black cats also don't have a magical bag of tricks. Mine did. It was kind of the reason we adopted him. He showed up, had his own bag. We called him Crash, and he lived up to the name. Now that I know birthday seems almost cruel, they made Mel Blanc crunch on all those carrots. He hated carrots. Oh, and now that I know the backstory. I didn't know he didn't like carrots. Interesting. Agatha trailer was great. I'm excited mainly because I'm down with the witches. That almost sounds like an Weird Al parody song of Disturbed. Come on, get down with the witches. He could get down with the witches. Was the music too quiet? May have to remix that. That is a little quiet on that. That was the first thing I noticed. Kyle played it for the first time. And I was like, that's really softer than we're used to that. Yeah, on the opening. But okay, so let's talk Agatha. And of course, the funny thing about the show was it went through so many titles changes. Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Agatha, House of Harkness. Agatha of Westview. And we find, or Agnes of Westview, which we kind of have an idea of now what that's about. But we'll get into that because of the trailer. But this is the next Marvel TV project. It's been a long time. It would have to be food related if it was Weird Al. Down with the soup mix. Or it could be Get Down with the Simpsons. And it could be all about the fact that Simpsons predicts all these things in the future. But they finally settled on Agatha all along, which makes a lot of sense because that was the hit song that came out of the WandaVision series. And they brought Jack Schaefer, who was the creator of the WandaVision series. And Jack Schaefer and Matt Shackman are the ones who get credit for really making that show happen. You know, but make WandaVision happen along with the actors and stuff, of course. But this is interesting because this is a character that most non-comic readers had no idea who she was. And even the readers who do know who Agatha was were probably stunned that she's getting her own series. But then again, she looked like this 82-year-old woman with this, 1920s style carrying a black cat. And then we get her on TV and it's Catherine Hahn, who is much more attractive than an 82-year-old woman in 1920s outfit. Nothing against 82-year-olds if that's your thing. But as the villain in WandaVision, Catherine Hahn was absolutely great. I mean, and she had her own hit song that she sang, which hit the charts and everything. So a spinoff makes a lot of sense. But a lot has happened since she first appeared on the TV back in 2021, and Marvel has kind of been knocked down a few pegs on both the big and the little screen. So my question going into this is, can a series that includes Broadway legend Patti LuPone and everybody's favorite scary goth girl, Aubrey Plaza, can that get them back on track? Now, we're going to start by going back to when the character was created. Agatha Harkness first appeared in Fantastic Four number 94 in 1970, just a few months before I made my debut in a hospital in Norwalk. Now, she was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and basically she was a governess for Franklin Richards, or, another term, somebody they also call a nanny. But when she was brought in, they had this adventure where she was left alone to protect Franklin against the Frightful Four, and she kicked their ass. So, of course, it didn't take Reed Richards' intelligence to figure out that there was something about Agatha, and she admitted she was a witch. Now, she ended up helping the FF against Annihilus, and they in turn helped her when her son Nicholas Scratch showed up with the Salem 7 and tried to put her on trial, because that's what you do to a witch, you put her on trial. Was that a good thing that people used to? I never got that right. Anyway, from there she went on to become a magical tutor for the Scarlet Witch back when Marvel couldn't really figure out if Wanda's powers were magic-based or part of her mutation. Oh, wait. They really still haven't figured that out, have they? Anyway, when there was, so they had her there, and then Wanda's children came along. So, of course, Agatha was brought in to help with that, especially when they started showing strange powers. But then again, that's probably because they were made from the soul of a demon. Yeah, that will tend to make some interesting, weird children. And then when Mephisto came and said, those are my soul pieces, and took them back and the kids were wiped from existence, Agatha helped wipe their existence from her mind too. So for a while there, she forgot that she had kids. And that was Agatha who did that. And then once she remembered, Wanda killed Agatha, along with a bunch of mutants, and House of M happened. But Agatha got better, so no worries. Now from there, Agatha, who now looks much younger in the comics, is an occasional part of the big supernatural stories like Midnight Suns, or she even restored the Darkhold, because that, of course, seems like a brilliant idea, doesn't it? She's even in the current Bloodlust, or the Blood Hunt storyline that just kicked off, and she's hanging out with a living embodiment of the Darkhold, is what they're saying. So basically, the Darkhold has taken human form. Agatha is trying to mentor it, and of course, it has escaped from Agatha. I'm not even going there. We're just going to, let's put the comics aside now. By the way, I got a piece of fun trivia for you Doctor Who fans. According to actor John Barrowman, his character of Captain Jack Harkness got his last name from Agatha. So, just, that was his namesake. It's a fun tidbit there. All right. So what happened on WandaVision? Let me give you the kind of the super condensed version if you haven't seen it. At least from Agatha's point of view. Now, Agatha likes power, and through the Darkhold, she kind of figured out how to absorb other witches' magic. And she does this to her own coven. This is my friend Dirkhold. Yeah, pretty much. By the way, draining your coven of magic is one of the big etiquette no-nos in witchcraft. I'm just letting you know in case you've got that to learn. She lives a very long time, and when she senses what Wanda did by creating the hex, or the magic bubble that Wanda made to turn Westview into her own little fantasy world. By the way, that's in New Jersey, Westview, New Jersey. Agatha sensed it and found a way to kind of imbue herself, or implant herself into this little fantasy world, and took on the guise of the nosy neighbor named Agnes, which of course was a play off of the nosy neighbor on Bewitched, because of course everything in the hex was based off of the sitcoms that Wanda grew up on. So it was like this hex spell was basically turning the real world into a fantasy TV version. That will become important later, because I don't think they leave that behind, at least in the beginning of the new series. Now, what Agatha wanted to know was how Wanda was able to do this, because it was a level of magic she'd never seen before. And the problem is that Wanda didn't do it on purpose. It was out of her grief that she cast the spell. Well, once she knew that there was no way to learn the spell, Agatha decided to switch plans and go to her old plan A, which was absorbing Wanda's powers. And, well, it didn't work out very well, because instead of absorbing the powers, she kind of awakened Wanda and unleashed the Scarlet Witch. Now, they had avoided calling her that for like ever in the MCU. And then they went, oh, she's just become the Scarlet Witch, which kind of makes it seem like they had a plan all along. Don't let that fool you. They were just making it up as they go. So Scarlet Witch defeats Agatha and forces her to be trapped in the Agnes persona and left in Westview after she had already taken the hex down and freed everybody else. So that's important, that she was left basically in the hex where everybody else wasn't. Now, WandaVision was a hit. Creator Jack Schaffman signed an immediate deal with Disney to create more things, this being one of them. Director Matt Shakman was picked up to direct the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. Elizabeth Olsen went on to be the villain in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And Marvel seemed to forget Paul Bettany for a while there. But there is rumors about a Vision Quest series with him, what happened to the White Vision after the whole Ship of Theseus discussion. But if you're going to call something Vision Quest, don't you kind of have to have Matthew Modine in it? That was a joke for me. But with the original series being successful, can Marvel grow on that? Can Marvel push everything back on the track with this show being successful? And what do they have to do? Now, I'm not sure what tier level character Agatha Harkness would be considered. But if you go back to when Marvel first started making movies and people were talking about how Iron Man was a D level character, you got to put Agatha like on S tier, T tier. She was down there. So, but that also works in favor of this because people aren't coming into the show with the same expectation levels that something like Secret Invasion has. You know, big comic book event like Civil War, Secret Invasion, comic fans and stuff are coming in expecting something huge. This one, I don't think anybody has any expectations. Now, the show is going to focus heavily on the supernatural magical side, and it appears to both have some comedy elements and some massive horror ones. Plus, you can pretty much bet there's going to be a song or two in it when you've got Catherine Hahn and Patti LuPone. And I think they actually have to sing as a coven to get onto the Witch's Road. So, yeah, you can pretty much guarantee there's a song. Now, what can we glean from the teaser trailer? Fun fact, S tier means, yeah, I know, and I regretted saying that, and I hate that there is even an S tier thing. That's just bad. So, what we can glean from the teaser trailer is that it's a very different feel from WandaVision. And we start off with seeing Agnes arrive at the crime scene carrying 2 cups of coffee, where she's met by a member of the forensic team. Now, the first thing to note here is the guy who's playing the forensic team guy is from WandaVision. He's Herb. He was the next door neighbor. He was in a lot of the episodes. So they at least carry that over. So and she's supposed to be a police detective, and they're going to see a Jane Doe down by the river. And this is pretty much them doing an homage to the mayor of Easttown. That's where the Agnes of Westview comes from, is I think they're homaging the Mayor of Easttown series with the dead body killed by blunt force trauma. And there are people online who think that the corpse they find is Wanda. And if you look at it, she's barefoot, like Wanda was in Multiverse of Madness, has black fingertips, like Wanda did, and is killed by blunt force trauma. And the last time we saw Wanda, she had a bunch of giant rocks falling on her. I don't know if that's the case, but it sounds pretty good. But what I'm picking up here is that as Agatha is trapped in as Agnes, it's still the Hex, and the Hex is feeding off of TV shows. So I think she's been living out other shows, and it just happened to move on to true crime or, crime fiction stuff. So now I don't think this is going to play through the whole series. I think it's just up to the point that she gets out of the Hex. So just like I said, Wanda did sitcoms because that's what she grew up on. These are probably fueling from the type of things that Agatha would watch. Now, when we see the Jane Doe in the morgue, it's kind of interesting. She's got a toe tag, but the toe tag isn't a toe tag. It's actually, that checkout card they put on the inside of a library book? They date it and put your name as you're checking it out. That's what the toe tag is. And it's got all these dates and no names, but the very last name appears, fades in, and it's W. Maximoff. And then suddenly Aubrey Plaza's character, Rio Duval, I think that's what it is there and says, you're trapped in this Hex, and the witch who cast it is gone. She doesn't say dead, which I find interesting, but she says is gone. And it says the witch is gone, leaving you in her distorted spell, and you need to claw your way out. Now, Agatha ends up going through, we see her going through all the different versions of Agnes in WandaVision in reverse order. So when they get to the black and white version where she first appeared, it's when she's coming out of the hex. And I think that's what gets her out of it. Now, from here, what another interesting thing is, then they start playing music, and it's Seven Devils by Florence and the Machine, which is likely a nod to Salem 7, which is a group tied to Agnes or Agatha. And the focus of the trailer switches to basically Agatha realizing that she doesn't have her powers anymore, that the Scarlet Witch drained them, and she wants them back. And the best way for her to get them back is to travel along the Witch's Road. And if you can survive the trials of the Witch's Road, you are supposed to get back what you have lost or what you're missing. Now, according to the write-up for this, it's this goth kid that they've referred to it as. And we've seen the Joe Locke's character in the trailer is the one that's supposed to spur her to go along the Witch's Road. Now, many people are saying, and there's been some confirmation that he's playing Billy Kaplan. One of the websites, I think Variety, posted their information referring to him as Billy Kaplan, and then later came in and changed it, took his name down, just said Joe Locke. But Billy Kaplan in the comics is the name that Wanda's son Billy has when he comes back as a teenager as the character Wiccan. And he comes back not knowing that he's Wanda's kid. So there's a lot tied in there. So that's why a lot of people think that this is one of Wanda's sons. Now, the other thing is that the Witch's Road, it's kind of a newer thing in the comics. It was introduced in the 2016 Scarlet Witch series from writer James Robinson. And we learned a lot in that series, and we're seeing it here, is that the source of each magic has a different color. So you can tell by what color their magic is, where they're getting it from. Rio is supposed to be an earth mage or an earth witch, so it's green. Agatha uses dark magic, so it's purple. Wanda always uses chaos magic, which is red. Loki's is green. Doctor Strange is orange or gold colored. So there's a likelihood that the trials that they have to go through along the road are going to be tied to the source of their power. Now, also what's going to happen in the series, and in an interview recently, Jack Schaefer said that where they played with sitcom tropes in the first WandaVision, they're going to play with witches tropes in this one. So expect to see a lot of familiarity to or ties to witch-related movies. The Coven, Wizard of Oz, anything that witches were prominent in the series, you're probably going to get that in here. There's the Ouija board scene in the trailer, stuff like that. Ed says, I sure hope it's horror-based. This is definitely going to be horror-based. Will Doctor Strange make an appearance? I'm thinking not, but I have what I think might be the ending in my mind, but we'll see. But yeah, it's going to have a lot of horror tones and movie nods as well. Now, I don't want to pick apart every different cut from the trailer. Oh, this is from this one, this is from that one. But I think they're going to be going through that type of thing. So it's going to have a similar feel to WandaVision in that the jumping and doing different things. So this is going to start in September. I think it's September 18th. Maybe JD can double check that for me. But there is one part where you get these hooded figures standing in the road in Westview that look like they're about to attack. September 19th. Thank you. And this is believed to be the modern day Salem Sevens, who are going to be the daughters of the original witches that Agatha killed in her first coven. All of them will be associated with different animals. And there's some information online. I haven't been able to put it all together for today's show, but there's some, they're all going to be tied to different animals. So now I think Aubrey Plaza's character Rio will be one of the antagonists here. I think the Salem Seven will be another, but I don't think either one is going to be the big bad. I think what this show is going to be more about is surviving the Witch's Road. I think the Witch's Road and getting what they want back is going to be the big thing in this. And we'll just have different conflicts along the way. So back to the original question. Can Agatha all along get Marvel Television back on track? I think it's possible. If Deadpool and Wolverine is a hit, as many expect it to be, then I think fans will come in maybe a little more open-minded to this series. And again, I think they're going to come in with no expectations. Again, it's not like Secret Invasion when everyone was comparing it to this huge comic event. The biggest expectation this series has to do is to feel connected to WandaVision and tell a good story. And it doesn't have to connect any dots. It doesn't have to explain anything or set up any upcoming movies. It just has to be good. And with it being by the same person who did WandaVision in the first place, I think there's a good chance of that. Now, am I worried that Matt Shakman isn't back as well? No. Because Matt Shakman is a sitcom guy. He was on sitcoms when he was a kid. He grew up to work in sitcoms and direct sitcoms. And now he's taking that family feel and dynamic and stuff to do the Fantastic Four. This, and we haven't seen many directors listed for this show yet, but I think this needs to have more horror themed directors, people who know horror better, because I think they're going to lean into that. Now, I don't think it's going to be R-rated super dark, but I also don't think it's going to be PG friendly and, good for the whole family. Do you know if Agatha's G-rated or R-rated? That will go a long way in telling me it's horror related or not. I think this will be PG-13. I think there'll be some body horror and stuff like that, but I don't think it'll be like watching a Saw movie, So, but I think they'll push the envelope without trying to totally lose, because horror is a type of genre that has its hardcore fans and then it has people connected to it, but you also lose a lot of people with horror. So I think they want to dance that line, but not completely go over it. Now, if Marvel can just focus on making a good series, tell an interesting story, then I think the viewers can be won back. Hey, Sean. So yeah, but I think we're gonna have to wait for September to find out. So yeah, that's what I think about Agatha. I think it has a good chance to get them back on track, as long as they don't try to bite off too much. So, all right, guys, we're gonna take our second break, and when we come back, I've got some key collectibles for you involving Agatha Harkness. So stick around.
Download our app on Google Play and the App Store. It's so simple, even my mommy can use it.
Ask your local comic shop to add Battle Quest comics to your pull list today. Whoa. Whoa. Did you miss it? Yeah, they can go by pretty fast. Let's slow down the footage.
Welcome. It's time to skim some comics. Miles Morales Spider-Man, I will just tell you that Miles is very important in his role as a vampire. So
It's fine. If you like Hercules, read it. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's fine.
The art is still stunning. There's a panel, little spoiler, there's a panel in this where Chitauri first hits Lion-O, and he is the best "did she really just hit me" face I've ever seen put in a comic book.
Wow, live reviews of new comic books so you can be ready for New Comic Book Day. What is this? Oh, I see. It's Minute to Skim It. Part of the experience.
I got the money, I got the show. You got that love and I can't let go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Say hey to Sean, he's back and he's not swimming at the moment. He was in the paths of Barrel. And remember to stick around for What's in the Box? The Geek Chat? SketchUp. Those are all running tonight. You want to be here for that. Let's do some key collectibles and then we'll get the hell out of here. What do you guys think? JD. Fantastic Four number 94 in 1970 was the first appearance of Agatha Harkness. This thing goes for $515 on the high end, $150 on the median, $45 on the low end. Next up, we have Fantastic Four number 103 from 1970. This is the second time she popped up. This was a high end of 45, median of 12, low end of 4. Fantastic Four number 110. This is the first time Agatha actually appears on a cover. And as you can tell, she's a little bit older there than Catherine Hahn. High end on this is 115, median is 40, low end is $10. On to Fantastic Four number 185 from 1977. This is the first appearance of her son, Nicholas Scratch, and the Witches of New Salem, or the Salem 7. High end on this, $30, median is $9, low end, $3. In Avengers 503 from 2004, this is where the Scarlet Witch goes, hey, you made my kid, if you forget my kids, and kills her. High end on this is 15, median is 5, low end is $1. All right. Ultimate Fantastic Four number 54. I know it doesn't look like Ultimate because it doesn't have that side trade dress on it, but it is. From 2008, this is the first appearance of Ultimate Agatha Harkness, who was younger version, and then they kind of brought her back into the mainstream that way. High end on this is 5, median is 2, low end is 1. And then we go to Scarlet Witch number 13. This is a cool Agatha Harkness cover by David Aja. High end on this is 18, median is 5, low end is $1. And Midnight Suns number 2, and we get the origin of Agatha Harkness after all this time. High end, $4, median, $2, low end is 1. All right, guys, let's just check the things here real quick, make sure we got everybody. JD says he didn't realize that the song Agatha All Along was written by the Lopez's of Frozen fame. Yep, absolutely. Everybody says hi to Ed, good, or to Sean, excuse me. And he's still waiting on power, though. If you rub your feet on the carpet and then touch something, that'll... JD loves the cover on this run and on the Scarlet Witch run. Yeah, they were great. All right, guys. So that is going to do it. I apologize for having not done Pop Go the Writers on Sunday. I was not feeling up to it. And there's probably not going to be a Pop Go the Writers this week because I have a family thing going on. So it'll probably be the following Sunday. But I will be back next week. And come back and we'll find something else to talk about. Hope you all have a great weekend. Be safe. Stick around here for the experience for all the great shows. Good night, everybody.